Welcome to the Power Up Podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Scullion. Join me for some powerful conversations with members of the Substation Design Solutions Industry Consortium, the SDSIC. I'll chat with members about the consortium, innovations, how they're implementing different technologies, even some of the projects they're working on to address the growing needs of our power grid. Today's guest is Bill Gordon. Bill is the Protection and Automation Manager at Southern Company, and he's also the current chair of the Business Strategy Group of the SDSIC. But that short intro is not enough, as Bill is a founding member of our consortium who helped us build the very foundation of what we wanted to achieve. In fact, the tagline that's used on our documents and website, Design, Integrate, Automate, was coined by Bill Gordon himself. Thanks for joining today, Bill.
Hey, more than happy to be here, Trev. Always a good chance to chat with you.
Yeah, same here, buddy. So let's kick things off and talk a little bit about your background and how you came to work at Southern Company, your day-to-day now, and your long history with the SDSIC.
Yeah, absolutely. More than happy to. I grew up as a farm boy in Louisiana and joined the military at 18, and it bounced me around kind of all over the place. And ultimately, it dumped me out in Alabama. I actually enjoyed the entire time. I've been here and of course, multiple states throughout the years. But, it got me an opportunity to join Southern Company. As a young engineer and kind of bounced around and everything from the physical substation to maintenance and design and protection and controls, which is where I've probably spent most of my careers. Definitely been on the substation side. I'd say it'd be about 90% of it. And about 90% of that 90% has really been protection and controls. Really been a good opportunity for me at the company. Got asked to come to corporate, which I've never been a big corporate fan, but I got invited to come to corporate to do this wild and crazy thing a long time ago about updating all of our design systems to BIM. And I didn't really even know what BIM was.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting and get to dig in a little bit. And, got to meet with, Arnold and the folks at Duke and, Nashville Electric, and just started talking about this stuff. It was very, very interesting. And see what potentially you could do in the future and what are going to be the gains. Of course, you were around for a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
As was David. We're all tremendously miss David a lot. He was a big influence in my career, not just in SES. So always a great guy, great friend to have.
Yeah, that's true. That's worth noting, Bill, while we're talking about it, that, we have that David Milks Award that's up on the consortium side. And, we award that every year to the person that's contributed the most to the SDSIC through the year. And we all felt that David did a heck of a lot of that and obviously building this up. So, so if anyone's listening, you can check that out online and see the awards.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know David would really be proud to see where we are today. And the idea of just even creating a group, out of folks that were kind of going down this journey. I know he had a big piece of that influence in it. And, we kind of got together a little group of whatever it was. I don't remember, 15, 20 folks. It wasn't many.
We usually fit in a restaurant back then, right? It was.
Oh, yeah, easy. But it was nice to be able to go out there and, meet all these new folks and kind of form the consortium, and looking at, what we could do as individuals versus what could we do if we all work together as a group. And it's had a huge impact. We standardize on what we could. I tell folks, in the PNC world, there's a lot of stuff that we do the same. I'd say that's probably the same across all substations. There's a lot of stuff you do the same. There's some things you will never change. You'll never standardize on. I talk on the PNC world about symbols. while the symbol represents the same item, we're going to use a different symbol. And that's just what we know and what we've been doing since we were doing it with pen and paper, so to speak. And being able to take those things and set that aside and go, okay, what can we do to make it the same? And what we did really dealt around the data. So the BIM piece, the stuff we really didn't know much about, but we were able to standardize in those realms and really get this thing off the ground. You know, when you have a big software vendor and you need them to do something, it's kind of hard when you're getting, you know, a handful of licenses and a handful of people asking for this and that, asking for it differently.
Right.
Really doesn't help you move forward. But when you can do it as a big group and really have a big voice, and now the number of licenses is, you know, extremely larger than they are, you know, when you get started, for sure.
Right.
But, you know, really gave us some power, so to speak, back into the software vendors to say, hey, we really need this to be successful. And I'm happy to say that has really been a big piece of the consortium from day one, and it continues to be that way.
Yeah, right. And when we first started up the consortium, how long did you run the electrical committee?
Oh, I honestly don't remember.
It was quite a while.
Yeah, it was quite a while. I was the chair of the PNC committee. I don't even know. It maybe 3 years, something like that.
Okay.
Been a few years, and then I kind of handed it off for somebody else to take the leadership of it, but still stayed active for quite a while, and until you take a job move. And then I had to kind of back out of the consortium for just a little bit. We got a couple of years there where it wasn't very heavy in participation because of other things in the company, but, you know, I'm happy to be back, happy to be the chair of the business strategy committee.
It's great to have you back, man. I know a lot of people were excited. Like a lot of folks have been here from the beginning. We're very excited you were coming back, and we're happy to see your involvement again, for sure.
Definitely happy to be here. I mean, as you know, as this thing grows and has continued to grow, there's more and more members and more folks you don't know. But, you know, after 10 years, you know, I see some of the same faces I saw 10 years ago, right?
Right.
So we've definitely been able to bond and have friendships across the country, and more importantly, help, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
When you build those relationships throughout the consortium and being able to reach out and go, hey, man, I'm really having a problem with this. Is this working right for you? How are you handling it? And you start asking those questions, and, you know, maybe that leads to a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it leads to something that needs to be addressed with our software vendors. You know,
Right.
It's back to that group think type of thing that really does help us grow and help us be successful in what we do.
Yeah, that's so true. And I was talking with Jeff Spence from Empirical, and yeah, Jeff said, his message to the newbies was, don't do it alone. Right? There's a lot of people that have learned. We learned what not to do. We learned what to do. I mean, you don't have to go through it alone if you're just getting started.
That's fact. And it's definitely been one of those things from the get-go. It was so much easier when you weren't by yourself.
Yeah.
When you got that support and the ideas, as a single person, in anything, you'll never have all the answers and you'll never have all the questions. So getting those folks that think of something you never even thought of is such a gift. I mean, it is a gift. It helps you open your mind to other ways of doing things and what paths you might take and be able to take from just a simple idea that somebody brought up or a question somebody asked.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's right. You don't know what you don't know, right? It's nice to.
That's a fact.
Yeah, you hear all those questions that come in on the monthly calls and stuff, and yeah, absolutely. So hey, let's touch on the business strategy committee. So you're leading up that committee now. That was only at the end of last year that you took that up now, and let's talk a little bit about the business strategy committee.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting committee. I mean, it's really focused on the support really of the automation and the utility industry. It's got a lot of managers, supervisors, and long-term members that are been in there that help to educate folks that are looking to get into this. We do things around what is that business case that you got to build.
Hmm.
I mean, nobody wants to walk into something knowing they're going to spend more money than they'll ever save with it, right? And
Right.
so really understanding the products and what those things can do for you in terms of cost reductions, is a really big piece of the business case.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what it does, right, it's really hard to build that business case. So this team here is one that's kind of really been through a lot of this. I mean, we'll have folks come in undeniably that they're just getting started, and it's a good place to be, and see some of the stuff that we are working on and some of the stuff we have worked on in the past and things that help you get down that step one. Well, I guess technically step one is knowing it exists. Step two is really understanding what it is and what it means, and then trying to build that business case. So the business strategy committee does focus on, what are the ways to do that? What are the ways you save? What's the impact, back to the bottom line of your corporation, because that's what they expect. If I'm going to install something new, it's got to pay for itself.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's, like I think with, we'll give a shout out to Mike Grabowski from PPL, who was running your committee there for 2 years and really helped build it up and keep it going during pandemic. But he had a lot of conversations with the team about training, just where to start, right? What do you start trying to look at? I think you mentioned one time that, the training aspect of it is so big to get people to change and change management, if you will, to go over and start looking at this stuff, right? And all conversations in your group.
Oh, absolutely. I'll definitely say change management is a huge, huge piece to being successful in any project, right? When you're looking to change things, folks don't like change. I mean,
Yeah.
let me come in and sharpen my pencil the same way I did yesterday.
Right.
And that's okay. But sometimes we need to move forward, and change management has to be an integral piece. Training has to be an integral piece, well ahead of moving to a production environment. You really don't want to start on the wrong foot and just go, hey, here it is. Let's jump in and see what it can do. And next thing you know, I don't meet my schedules. I delay construction. Any of those things are bad, right? So
Yeah.
you want to be prepared by the time you get to that point. And you've got to use change management to have the folks understand what they're getting into and want to be a part of it. Because there's always somebody that doesn't want to be. And sometimes that means, help them find something else that's not going to be this piece, right? So we still have folks today that we use to do AutoCAD based work.
Right. Okay.
So they don't do BIM work. That's where their skill set's at. And, the BIM technologies are not straightforward CAD. I mean, there's more stuff that goes in it, and understanding what those are and how to do change management with it and figure out, what pieces fit your corporation, your team, capitalizing on those strengths is a must.
Yeah. Well said, man. Well said. Yeah. So part of the reason this podcast is for all the folks that maybe haven't joined yet, or maybe just joining and trying to get an understanding of the different groups. So it sounds like, your community is probably a great spot to start the journey. if you're coming in fresh and you're trying to wrap your head around what is all involved in getting going with this stuff, it's probably a good starting place.
Oh, absolutely. Totally agree. Get in and understand the big picture first, and then you get into the details, right? Then you move into your discipline categories and you start learning more those folks, and building those relationships. You got the help and the monthly calls and all those things to help us continue to grow and move forward is probably what my thoughts are around, how do you approach the SDSIC with, I know we've got to be really close, if not slightly over already, 1,700 members.
Yeah, we are just over. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
we can't just go to the restaurant anymore, Bill.
Yeah, I would agree. That would be a tab I wouldn't want to pick up.
Yeah, it'll be over the top. Well, hey, this is our chance to kind of reach out to any of the members of those 1,700 members. So, it's all voluntary. It's a nonprofit. We're not making money from this. Everyone spends their own time to make this happen. It's a lot of work. What kind of help could you use for your committee in particular?
Oh, there's always a need. If we're looking at, common data languages, we really don't have an expert in that group on it. I say that Sean Weekly is a big contributor, probably in that space.
Yeah, right.
But looking forward and how do we get systems, and that would be a good way to put it, systems that share a common data language. So if you're thinking about what is your maintenance system or your material system, or things like Maximo,
All right.
and you've got software, you'd love to be able to pass that information on. If we find ways to standardize on that data language that we're going to push, what's the format? Man, that makes your integration time a whole lot easier. When we'll call it plug and play type of approach versus lots and lots of customized stuff for each customer, it's going to help us move down the road a lot. And so to me, that's one of our big needs in the organization, in my committee in particular, is, folks that have a strength there. That doesn't mean that everybody that comes in is going to get overloaded with a bunch of work from the committee. But when you join these committees, you're going to learn a lot. But, we want you to contribute a lot too.
Right.
That's how we grow. We need everybody with a voice. Doesn't matter if you're from a small municipality or if you're from a large, corporation somewhere. Everybody's got a voice. I love that about the SDIC.
Yeah,
it's not only the large Southern company or Duke or any of those other really large companies out there that drive this. It's every individual that drives the SDSIC. And the more everybody brings to the table, the better off we'll be.
Well said. Yeah, well said. And that's one of the things we're trying to overcome with the message of this podcast is you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be, great point, right? You don't have to be a massive corporation of, 300 users that have a voice. Everybody has a voice, and we've seen ideas come from everywhere, right? So
Absolutely.
That's great. Okay, so we touched on our 10th year, man. So we went from 15 people in a restaurant to I don't know how many people are going to be in Nashville, but is there anything you'd like to see happen at that 10th anniversary down there?
Oh, I really don't know.
Could be karaoke. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm open. I'm kind of laid back. I'm open to doing whatever. While this is going to be a celebration for us at 10 years, it's also going to be a working consortium, right? So we're going to have a little bit of everything, but we're definitely going to take some time to relax a little bit, rekindle relationships, throughout the organization. Go have a little fun here and there. As long as you don't make me play golf and Top Golf, we'll be okay. I'm not a golfer.
Yeah, I think I was told at the last one, my future is not in golf. No, that's great, Bill. Thank you. Anything else you want to close out on, man?
No, for me, just anybody listen to us, I encourage you to reach out, join, come to a meeting, no matter, if it's this one or the next one or two down the road, you'll always be welcome there. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. More than happy to help, but we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Wow, that's a great way to close it out, man. As always, Bill, I really enjoyed talking to you, man. Thanks for doing this today.
Hey, more than happy to. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again.
Thank you for listening to the Power Up Podcast today. If you enjoyed this conversation and you're not yet a member of the SDSIC, join for free at sdsconsortium.com. Be part of the community and all these great conversations. And maybe you'll be the next guest on the Power Up Podcast.